probably follow. Hold on.
Put you on the spot. All right.
We can make that happen. Hey.
Everybody make sure the mics are turned.
Okay.
Y'all ready down? Y'all ready down there? Y'all ready down there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Winterville Town Council meeting to order. Today is Monday, January the 13th, 2025. The time now is 6:01. Invocation tonight will be given by Mayor Pro Tem Johnny Moore, and after that, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will we all please stand? Thank you. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. This is the day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for allowing us to gather here tonight to do our business here for this wonderful town of Winterville. We thank you so much for your leadership and your guidance, and we receive it. Lord, we thank you for each council member that we have, and thank you for our staff, and most of all, thank you for our citizens. And Lord, thank you for having my wife and my family here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 If you could please turn and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening to everyone, and I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight to our first meeting in 2025. My name is Ricky Hines, and tonight I also like to welcome everybody that's watching via internet also. Next up will be our roll call by the town manager.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I believe our system is back up and running, so if you would denote your presence by using your remotes. Mayor, I believe everyone's present and accounted for.
Thank you. Next up is the approval of the agenda. If you will notice, there's an amended agenda in front of us.
Yes, sir. Basically, are just a few corrections on some of the announcements and some additions on public comment, and then there will be even more additional public comment.
Can I get an approval of the?
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Have a motion made by Councilwoman Harrell, second by Councilwoman Smith. Is there any question? If none, please use your clicker, please. Oh, sorry.
There we go.
All right. Now use your clicker to cast. Motion carry. Thank you all. Next up, we have the oath of office for Councilman Johnny Moore as our Mayor Pro Tem. And the oath will be administered by our Honorable Judge Wendy Hazelton, District Court Judge, Judge Hazelton. Hey, welcome. Mr. Moore, if you and your family would come down front, please.
Of my office as mayor pro tem. So help me God. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd like to say thank you to our judge here tonight, and thank you for coming out tonight to give me my oath. And I thank you for everyone that is here tonight to witness it. I'm one of those, I like to try to give back what was given to me back in the days. All my days that I have been here as a board member. Just don't know what in store to me, for me and my family, since we have been here in Winterville all these years. I don't want to tell you how many years, but I can say this, my wife and I are having a great anniversary getting ready to come up, and I don't know whether or not you want me to tell you how many years, but it's going to be 50 years.
Congratulations.
So are we looking forward for 50 more in Jesus' name?
Amen.
And thank you again for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you. Next up, we have recognitions of employees. If the fire chief will come up, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. I'm here tonight to introduce probationary firefighter Justin Johnson, although he's got 13 years of experience. So he is a seasoned veteran. He comes to us with firefighter 1 and 2 certifications. He's an advanced EMT. He's a hazmat responder, structural collapse technician, technical rescue vehicle technician, and water rescue technician. So he brings a wealth of experience to the town and the department. Justin Johnson.
How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Appreciate y'all having me here tonight. Glad to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to work for the town.
Well, welcome aboard, Justin.
Thanks, sir.
Uh-huh. Chief Williams.
Good evening, Council Mayor. We have Amber Owens. She's our new office manager. We poached her from the Pitt County Schools, more specifically Walcoats Elementary. She's been a breath of fresh air for our office. She always comes in with a positive attitude. She has a steep learning curve ahead of her, but she's shown herself to be quite capable. We're looking forward to future days with her.
Hello, thank you so much. It's been an honor to be here, learn all the things. It's definitely a different place, but I'm enjoying the slice of the good life so far. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Owens, and welcome aboard. Okay, next up, we have proclamations. The clerk would do the honors.
Yeah, first proclamation tonight is for the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which this year is next Monday, January 20, 2025. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great moral leader who espoused peace and the brotherhood of man, and whereas Dr. King advanced the cause of the attainment of social changes for all people and the establishment of the beloved community worldwide, and whereas Dr. King admonished us to have faith, wisdom, and conviction that racial harmony can be achieved and left us a blueprint for harmonious relationships. Let us therefore embrace his principles of love, peace, and nonviolence, as well as freedom and justice for all. And whereas Dr. King's legacy to society is the leadership he provided by his commitment to justice, equality, and the elimination of racism through nonviolence social change. And whereas Dr. King epitomized the belief that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, endowed with reason and conscious to act towards one another in a spirit of harmony. And whereas the observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day offers an opportunity for individuals and communities to reflect on our shared history and to engage in actions that uphold the principles he championed. Whereas the law has established a national holiday to observe the anniversary of Dr. King's birth, and whereas the state of North Carolina has established the third Monday in January as a legal holiday in honor of his birth, now therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the town of Winterville, hereby proclaim January 20, 2025 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Throughout the town of Winterville, I urge all citizens to avail themselves of the splendid opportunity to remember and celebrate the life of Dr. King, whose struggle for civil rights and noble pursuit of equality for all Americans deserve our heartfelt appreciation. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 13th day of January 2025. And is Elena Boyer here? Okay. Elena is here. She is the PR and marketing manager for the Center for Family Violence Prevention. And we have now a Human Trafficking Prevention Month proclamation. Whereas human trafficking is a public health issue, a crime that harms the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities, often across generations. And whereas nearly 25 years after the passing of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, an estimated 27.6 million people are subjected to human trafficking globally in every U.S. state and territory. And whereas human trafficking can happen to anyone, but certain populations are at greater risk, including people affected by abuse, violence, poverty, unstable living situations, or social disconnection. And whereas human trafficking is connected to many other forms of violence and exploitation, and often shares common risks and protective factors such as lack of resources and unsafe environments. And whereas connecting the dots, strengthening communities, preventing trafficking underscores the need to understand how human trafficking relates to other forms of violence and how we can prevent it by strengthening protective factors at the individual, rational, community, and societal levels. Whereas strengthening communities requires collective action to reduce the conditions that contribute to exploitation, build resilience, and create environments where people are protected from human trafficking and other forms of violence. And whereas the Center for Family Violence Prevention is committed to ensuring that those impacted by human trafficking receive services that are trauma-informed and responsive to their individual needs. And whereas a successful response to human trafficking requires a coordinated community-wide effort that includes collaboration across sectors and with those who have experienced human trafficking firsthand to ensure that services and programs are effective and meet the needs of all survivors. And whereas every individual, family, community, and organization can help raise awareness, preventing trafficking, and support survivors by learning how to act. Now therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the town of Winterville, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month, reaffirming our commitment to connecting the dots, strengthening communities, preventing trafficking by increasing awareness, improving education on human trafficking, making resources available for individuals and communities impacted by human trafficking, and rebuilding, and by building diverse public-private partnerships to support a more coordinated, comprehensive, responsive to prevent and combat human trafficking. A witness whereof I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 13th day of January 2025.
Yes, I was going to ask you if you could step to the podium, please.
Thank you for recognizing January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month. On behalf of the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking, they asked me tonight to let you all know about a few events that they have this month in January. They do have their ribbon cutting and 15th anniversary celebration for NC Stop Human Trafficking on January 29th. This is located at 1410 Evans Street, Suite 1 in Greenville. It is at 11 a.m. They also have a lunch and learn, Joining Hands to Fight Human Trafficking. This is located at the History Museum of Carteret County in Morehead City, and this will be held on January 30th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is a public hearing if Stephen would come up for the honeysucker rezoning.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. I've given each of you a rezoning packet at your seat. This contains the Planning and Zoning Board's consistency and reasonableness vote, as well as 4 letters that were received in support of this rezoning. So again, the town of Winterville has received a rezoning application. We're terming it Hunsucker rezoning. Applicant is Linwood Stroud and Matthew Hunsucker. This is located on Reedy Branch Road on the east side of Highway 11, roughly 750 foot to the east of Ernest Lofton Road, as we will see right here in a second. This is a 41.33 acre site that is currently zoned agricultural residential. They are proposing an R10 conditional district rezoning in which 10% of the site will remain open space upon development. So again, R10 with the condition that 10% remains open space upon development. Notification was placed on this site, as well as letters sent to those who were adjacent and within 100 foot of the property. We also placed 2 notices within the Daily Reflector, all to meet state statute. Just to provide a little bit of an understanding where this is in Winterville, this blue area outline is the Hunsucker property, again, roughly 42 acres. This going east to west is Reedy Branch Road. Ernest Lofton comes in from the south right here. This is Church Street Extension going north to south. And then if you take Reedy Branch Road to the west, about a mile from this area, then you would run into Highway 11. This is an image of the rezoning map. We'll look at it a little bit more in detail. This is an image and showing the existing land use of this area. So the Hunsucker property is currently vacant. So all of this darker green color represents vacant land. So a lot of vacant land in this area right now. However, a lot of growth in the way, or coming along the way. Just north of it, you have Brookstone Phase 2 that is under review for construction drawings. Same with South Brook just to the north as well that is under review for construction drawings and preliminary plat. To the west of this property, you have a small subdivision called Colonial Woods. It's a single-family residential subdivision. Some vacant land just to the north of them. To the east of it, you have vacant land as well, and a little bit of single-family kind of rural homes along Reedy Branch just in front of this site, and across the street, vacant agricultural land currently as well. Looking at the current zoning, again, this is agricultural residential. All of this tan color is agricultural residential. To the west of this site is an R20 site. This is Colonial Woods. Just to the north of this, Brookstone Phase 2 is R10. Also, you have South Brook, which is an R6 and multifamily residential development just to the north of it. To the east, you have agricultural residential, and much of the remaining land to the south is agricultural residential currently as well. Looking at the future land use plan, what it suggests, all of this yellow is suburban residential. So the Hunsucker property does fall within the suburban residential character area for the town of Winterville. This green speckled area is rural residential. So once you go south from this site, you would actually go into the rural residential character area. So suburban residential, you're primarily looking at larger lots, single-family detached residential. This is what many people like about the Winterville housing stock. So generally looking at 2 to 3 dwellings per acre. Larger lots with front and side loaded garages typically. Smaller lots are occasionally acceptable as well if a minimum standard of open space and amenities are exceeded. And as you'll see with this one, that is what is being proposed. Again, diving a little bit deeper into the character area, suburban residential supports larger lot, low density single family residential. You're typically looking at an R20, R15, or an R12.5 zoning district for suburban residential. However, it does suggest that potentially R10 and R8 are appropriate if additional open space is provided. In this case, they are proposing 10% of the site to provide additional open space. So 10% of the land will be set aside for open space. And that is designated right here in the open space category of the comprehensive plan to show that, again, R10 and R8 is acceptable if you are providing that open space, which they are. Again, we're looking at primarily single-family detached residential with sewer service. Some of the land use goals that we have at the town of Winterville is to reinforce our town's identity as a family-friendly community. And in that, supporting rezonings that are labeled suburban residential and urban residential within the comprehensive and future land use plan. Public comments for this one. I have received one phone call from someone living on Reedy Branch expressing traffic concerns for additional growth within this area. At the planning and zoning public comment session, there were 2 that spoke against this proposal. The main concerns were the size of the lots as well as drainage concerns on adjacent properties. We have also received 4 letters of support via letter. I provided that letter in front of all of you, all 4 of those letters, just to give you the kind of overall theme. All of these letters support the rezoning, and they support more housing opportunities in the southern portion of Winterville. Staff's evaluation. The 41.33 acre site is currently vacant and farmed land. Its surrounding uses are dominated by upcoming single-family neighborhood subdivisions, single-family detached homes, and agricultural/vacant land use. The comprehensive land use plan suggests that suburban residential character area is appropriate for this area and supports the R10 rezoning with the condition that a minimum of 10% of the land is to remain open space once developed. Planning and zoning met at their November meeting and recommended approval of this rezoning 5-1. Again, their vote of consistency and reasonableness is placed in front of you. This request is consistent with the intent and purpose of the comprehensive land use plan and future land use plan. It is also compatible with the existing developments and trends that we are seeing throughout Winterville. So staff does recommend approval of the rezoning request of the 41.33 acre site from agricultural residential to R10 conditional district, in which 10% of the site must remain open space upon development. Are there questions for any staff, or are there questions for staff prior to opening it up for the applicant and public hearing?
Yes, I do have.
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, Colonial Woods is not part of Winterville, correct?
That's correct. Colonial Woods is within our ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction, but is not within our city limits. That's
Not
correct,
within
yes,
our
sir.
city. Okay.
But this piece of property has already have been annexed into the city limits.
This is not annexed into the city limits, no, sir. This is within the ETJ, but has not been, a petition has not been filed for this site.
Who would maintain the open spaces?
So it would be part of the HOA that would maintain the parks and open space. That would be a little bit more clarified on the preliminary plat, though. So once the preliminary plat is proposed, that'll show what the open space proposal would actually entail.
Anyone else have any questions for our opening? Public hearing?
Thank you. And I do have, let me see. I've got, the applicant has requested a slideshow for tonight. And one of the speakers has also submitted a short presentation. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing on the Honeysucker rezoning request. And if you would like to speak against,
Mayor, I think we've got a couple presentations.
oh, do the presentations first?
One is a presentation from the applicant themselves.
Okay.
The other one will come up during the public.
We usually give the applicant an opportunity to speak, and so I guess the presentation and what they have to say, and then I think after that,
Okay.
you open it up.
Okay, all right. I reversed that then.
Sorry.
Hold on, yeah. Hold on. Yes, yes, sir.
I just want to ask Stephen a question right quick. Did you say one of the planning board members voted against it?
One of them voted against it. They did not publicly state why they voted against it, though.
Okay, yes,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Good evening, Mayor Hines, members of council, town staff, and our neighbors. My name is Matt Hunsucker, and I'm the applicant on this rezoning, representing my family who owns the parcel. I want to thank Mr. Penn for his detailed overview of our application. I'll highlight just a few key points, and then I'm happy to address any questions from council. First off, why R10 with 10% open area? Our proposal aligns with the town's comprehensive land use plan. It has received town staff recommendation and was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board. As Winterville experiences growth, we want to honor the area's agricultural heritage while providing modern living options at an attainable price point. The residential density in the immediate area ranges from R6 to rural residential. Based on the variety of existing zoning in the area, we felt that our land was best suited as a transitional density between the Southbrook development to the northeast, which is R6 and multifamily, to the agricultural land south of our parcel. It was also very important for us to create a subdivision that is attainably priced. R10 is a good middle ground that will provide modern and diverse housing options for our local teachers, law enforcement, service professionals, and young families. Now, we have committed to reserving 10% of the land, which is over 4 full acres, to open space. This set aside will give us the option to create amenities like pocket parks, walking trails, and playgrounds, while maintaining the natural character of the area and providing a cohesive landscape with our neighbors. We've spoken to many people in the community, and their feedback has been both positive and instrumental in helping us shape this proposal. To engage our neighbors, we wrote letters to all the adjacent landowners and followed up with phone calls. In return, we received many letters of support, which Mr. Penn highlighted. These outreach efforts helped us understand and address common feedback, which we can review next. The community feedback revealed 3 common questions. First, buffers. While the building guidelines don't require buffered yards between 2 residential parcels, our 4-acre open area set aside gives us the option to incorporate thoughtful design elements that preserve the area's character. Second, traffic. Before any site design approval, North Carolina DOT will evaluate traffic impact, and if needed, require calming measures to ensure safety on Reedy Branch Road. And finally, drainage. As you're all aware, there are many low-lying areas in Pitt County. Proper stormwater management is critical. Our development will include a retention pond designed by Stroud Engineering to modern standards, ensuring all runoff is contained on site. We've also investigated drainage concerns raised by our neighbors in Colonial Woods and shared helpful resources and contacts for addressing their issues under Pitt County's oversight. We researched the drainage issues and discovered that Colonial Woods, built in the 80s, relies on drainage ditches and falls under Pitt County's drainage oversight since they are outside of the Winterville town limits. Their subdivision covenants assign maintenance responsibilities to homeowners within their subdivision. Mr. Penn found a contact at Pitt County's drainage department, and we shared that contact and encouraged them to follow up if their drainage issues persisted. We also recommend that they engage an engineer to inspect their systems to ensure proper functionality. Meanwhile, our stormwater systems will meet modern standards to prevent any impact on neighboring properties. So in conclusion, thank you for your support. Our family is deeply committed to Winterville's thoughtful growth. This proposal respects existing residents while welcoming new neighbors to our community. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we also have with us tonight Mr. Linwood Stroud, who's our engineer, if you have any technical questions.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Now we open up the public hearing.
Correct.
On a rezoning of the Honeysuckle property. If anyone here would like to speak against the rezoning request, please step to the podium, state your name and address if you would like to speak against this project.
My name is Tom Beck. I'll be 80 on the King holiday, so it's the Beck King holiday. So I've been living on Reedy Branch Road for 50 years.
What's your address?
6208 Reedy Branch Road. I'm about a third of a mile to the east from this proposed development. I'm on the opposite side of the road. Everybody out there that's lived since I've been there, I was a pioneer. It was densely populated. And now it's starting to populate because it's a popular area. Everybody out there that I know of has got at least a half-acre lot, if not more. I've got 2 acres. My neighbors across the street got 10 acres. And now you're proposing a subdivision with 41 acres with R10, I think, which allows for development of 10,000 square foot lots. It doesn't fit the neighborhood, it's not rural. I had V.A. Merritt, he owned V.A. Merritt's appliance store downtown, once told me, you're gonna live in the county. I said, you're gonna have all the disadvantages. You don't have fire protection, police protection, water, sewer. So you need to have land. That's what makes it worthwhile. So the council members, we don't get to vote for you guys, but yet you're fixing to make a decision that's going to impact our life. I would ask you not to approve this. The Hunsuckers are nice folks. I just talked to them. They have a right to develop that property, but they don't need to enhance their wealth beyond a certain point with minimal size lots so they can sell more and enhance their profit. Please do not approve this zoning with R10. Make it R15 or R20. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can you please hold your applause, please?
Mayor Hines, council, my name is Clifton Cahoon. I live at 3309 Davie Street, shown on the slide. My lot borders the Hunsucker property. Our established community that you see here, the lot layout, is located on Reedy Branch Road and Church Street. The Hunsucker property and our neighborhood area are designated suburban residential on the town's future land use map, shown in yellow here, and I have it designated as site. Suburban residential designation extends from Reedy Branch Road north back into the town's core developed area. Immediately across Reedy Branch Road to our south, the designation changes to rural residential, shown here in green. On the suburban residential detail sheet, while the requested R10 with additional open space is allowed, the potential zoning is listed as typically R20, R15, or R12.5, as I have circled here. With the designated suburban residential extending all the way across the town's planning area, and the inclusion of potential zoning ranging from R8 all the way up to R20, that would suggest to me that the intent of the land use plan is for lots to increase in size as you move further away from the town core. We and the Hunsucker property are on the extreme outer edge of your planning area, furthest from the town core. Our neighborhood is not even the town's electric and water customers, and neither will be the Hunsucker development. Again, our neighborhood and the Hunsucker property are located where the suburban residential designation transitions to rural residential. The description of rural residential says there in green, it describes, less than one dwelling per acre. Well, that's what our existing neighborhood is. The smallest lot in our whole community here, not just the Colonial Woods subdivision, the whole community, the smallest lot in our community neighborhood is 30,000 square feet. Most lots are 35,000 to 45,000 square feet. My lot, bordering the Hunsucker property, and my neighbor across the street are 60,000 square feet. Here's some neighborhood photos showing you the character of our neighborhood. This will not be the character of a neighborhood with R10 zoning. In summary, R10 is not an appropriate zoning for this property. Even at the least dense R20 zoning, the lots would be considerably smaller than the entire existing community. This evening, we are at the mercy of your vote for the protection of our property values and the preservation of our community character. I respectfully request that you deny this proposed zoning that only serves to maximize development profits. Does the council have any questions of me? Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else that'd like to speak against this rezoning request? Anyone else?
Mayor Hines, fellow council members, my name is Coy Buck. I live at 415 West Smith Avenue in Winterville, which is in Colonial Woods. Colonial Woods homeowners have invested in our homes and property for years, many since the 1980s. Consequently, we are concerned about our investments, which could suffer due to an R10 zoning next to our R20 subdivision. Therefore, we believe a more realistic zoning assignment would be R20 for the Hunsucker property. And regarding the last meeting that we attended where the R10 was approved by the Planning and Zoning Committee, there were only, I think there was only one person that spoke against it, or two people spoke against it. But I grant you, the whole room full of people here that primarily were against the zoning request of R10. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration for not supporting an R10 zoning request.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak against this?
Council, my name is David Lee. I live in Colonial Woods. My address is 3325 Davie Street. I would like to voice my request to decline this offer or this request. I do believe I'm one of the newer residents of Colonial Woods. I purchased my home there about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was very pleased to live in the community that I live in, and I chose it for that very reason. I enjoy Winterville. I enjoy the progress and all that is being done in the area, but I do ask that we consider a zoning that would be larger than the R10. So my request is to deny this request and consider a larger lot size.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak against this?
My name is Dennis McCoy. I live at 435 East Smith Avenue. As the previous speakers have made their presentations, I have really nothing to add to that as far as declining this rezoning. But I would like to ask those if I may, ask those in the audience that oppose this, if they would please stand. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else?
I'm Catherine Cahoon. I live at 3309 Davie Street. I moved there in 2016 after my home of 24 years was taken by the Aiden Bypass Project. My property borders the Hunsucker property. I purchased here because I like the style of brick homes and the large wooded lots in the area. I am concerned how the property will develop. The requested R10 zoning indicates it will be very undesirable for us, which leaves me no choice to oppose the request. The traffic on Reedy Branch Road will be tremendously affected. The blind curve at the intersection of Reedy Branch Road and Ernest Lofton Road that is near the entrance to the property is going to be a problem. And we all know that NCDOT will not make correcting that a priority. The bottom line is the zoning lot size he is requesting is grossly undersized compared to the existing community and will devalue the properties and degrade the community character. I would hope the board would vote against these effects.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Council. Michael Gibbs, 3312 Davy Street. I've been living at the property for 20 years. So I'm against rezoning this property to R10. So I hear that the issue is the cost of sewer when developing. But not everyone wants to be living in and around a congested neighborhood. That is the reason we settled where we did, not because it was easy, but for the space and privacy. But I am sure others would like the same as we do and are willing to pay some more for it. And why has it got to be such a large financial reward for the developer anyway? The people defending their current standard of community do not want to be close to R10 zoning. But Mr. Hunsucker doesn't mind R10 zoning, as he currently lives in a neighborhood on a 2.6 acre lot in his 4,400 square foot home worth $1.4 million, surrounded by other houses on in his neighborhood on his whole street that range from $1.3 million to $1.5 million. So why can't it be about quality of land use versus quantity of land use?
Thank you. Hold on, everybody, calm down now. Is anyone else that would like to speak against this? If there's no one else that would like to speak against this, now is anyone that would like to speak in favor of this project? You may step to the podium.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Linwood Stroud, the engineer on the project. I just want to provide some information for your use in making your decision. Colonial Woods subdivision was developed in the 80s. I was the engineer. The lots range from, as Mr. Cahoon said, from 30,000 square feet up to an acre. Why? Because they couldn't get smaller lots approved because there was no public sewer available. They're all on septic tanks. Septic tanks eventually fail, polluting the waters of Winterville and Pitt County. It would not be economical to develop this Hunsucker property with public sewer on lots that size. To develop lots that size would add more septic tanks to the area and contribute to the pollution of the surface water. Thank you.
Excuse me, we're not gonna do that, okay? If you're gonna keep doing outbursts, we're gonna have you removed from the chamber, okay? Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this? You can please step to the podium.
Thank you again for the audience, and I thank all the neighbors for your enthusiastic feedback on our project. I look forward to continuing to work with you. This is a long process, but I do want to make one point of clarification. One of these gentlemen suggested that I live on a 2.4 acre lot. My personal lot is 0.28 acres. Just want to bring that up. But thank you for your audience.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this rezoning request? If there's no one else that would like to speak on this zoning request, I now close the public hearing. Now it's up to the board to decide what they want to do. Stephen.
And as always, Board, I do have a template rezoning vote on the screen as well, if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Will you go through that, Stephen? Just to.
Yeah,
reacclimate
absolutely
them?
will. So if council is interested in approving the rezoning, it could say something to the effect of that the rezoning is consistent with the Winterville Comprehensive Plan, is reasonable, and is in the public's interest. If council wishes to deny the rezoning, council may say something to the effect of, after consideration of the comprehensive land use plan and other factors, this proposal is found to be unreasonable, and you may explain why. There are 5 different possible reasons that the state thinks are great reasons to deny a rezoning. 1 through 5 right here is what the state has listed out as possible considerations when a board is reviewing a rezoning.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
I'm going to make a motion that we deny the rezoning request or deny the rezoning after consideration and hearing from the people of Winterville in that area who have found that the R10 is too dense. This would impede on their livelihood in the way they have lived, and it is in the public interest that I am making a motion to deny it.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Motion made by Councilwoman Hawkins, second by Councilwoman Harrell to deny the rezoning request. Is there any questions?
I would like to, is there discussion?
Yes.
Okay. I do second. I would also ask, is there any way that there can be a negotiation between the developer and the neighbors or the community? Because of course, growth is coming to Winterville, but is there any type of negotiation, R15 or something that there can be a negotiation? Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions? We'll call for the vote. If none, could you get your clicker, please?
I think we may have some. Okay.
Denied.
Just making sure we're all on the same.
Right.
page.
Yeah, that's
Motion
what she
was-
said, denied. Right.
So you're saying no?
We're voting on the motion, and the
Deny.
motion is to deny.
Yeah, we're voting on the motion to deny.
Right.
That's
So-
why I think we,
Okay, so yeah, we need to, yeah.
I felt like there was a.
So yes to deny, correct? There we go.
That would be correct. The motion was made to deny
Right.
the rezoning.
Correct.
And it was seconded. So a vote for yes would be yes, that you want to deny the
Correct.
rezoning.
Thank you for that clarification.
I just didn't want anybody
fine.
to.
Mhm.
So we have, Mayor, then we have 5 yes votes to deny the rezoning petition.
All right. Okay. Rezoning request has been denied.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see how the developer and the neighbors get together and see if they could come up with something that would, work for both of them. I know you've been living in your houses, you've invested in them, and that you should have some voice as to what goes on around you. And I know the developer wants to move it from residential, from agriculture to residential. And I think that they could come to, I agree with Councilwoman Harrell, I think that they can come to maybe a middle ground there. I would like to see that done before vote on a rezoning.
Okay. Thank you. Next up is our public comments section. And before we go in our public comment section, I'm tasked to read this here. The public comment period of 30 minutes provide an opportunity for residents to comment on any item included in the agenda to address the town council on any other matter related to the town of Winterville. For an item included in the public hearing section of the agenda, residents should address the council at the time the mayor invites the public comment on the item. No public comment may be made to the council during the meeting, except during the public comment period or as part of the public hearing. Individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and no more than 3 speakers may address the council on a single matter. The town council may elect to take no action on the matter addressed by a speaker, may schedule the matter for further consideration at a further council meeting, or may refer the matter to the town staff for disposition. Copies of the town public comment policy, are available in the rear of the assembly room. And the first, which is on our agenda, is Ms. Rebecca Cabness from the Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Rebecca.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. My name is Rebecca Cabness, and I'm the Executive Director of the Winterville Chamber of Commerce. I'm here tonight because I've heard some expressed concerns and questions from you all over what it is our chamber does. And while I know I send newsletters and event reminders and announcements to your inbox, I also know we're all very busy people, so I thought I'd spend 3 minutes up here explaining to you all what it is we do. So the job of a chamber is to support the businesses and the community that we are a part of and help create a better place to work and live. The way we execute that is through a wide range of evolving events, programs, and initiatives. Our chamber is unique in that we are catering to a community of almost exclusively small businesses in an area where there isn't much more room to grow, and with a staff of 1. We, like many chambers, host a number of networking events throughout the year. Last year, we hosted 18 to give businesses and organizations the chance to meet, connect, and collaborate with one another. Because we focus so much on small businesses and the needs of small business owners, who often have to wear many hats and learn many different skills to be successful, you'll also see us doing a lot of events that invite speakers to come and talk about topics that small business owners can benefit from. We also have connections with a lot of the resources available in our area and work to connect our businesses with those. Probably our closest working relationship is with Pitt Community College with their Small Business Center and then with their entrepreneurship program. One of the things I believe our chamber is known for is being inclusive and welcoming to all. To me, one of the ways that we do it is to support those with home and mobile-based businesses, like via ribbon cuttings that we host at the Winterville Train Depot. So if you don't have an office space, you still can celebrate that milestone. We have a wonderful relationship with the Winterville Historical and Art Society to make that possible. We also took over the Market on the Square series from the town in 2023, although with a lot of support from the town, which we appreciate. And this is in an effort to provide vending and community opportunities to all business types. This is just a small glimpse into what we do, and it certainly would not be possible without the support and collaboration that we have with the town. I'm constantly connecting with Parks and Rec, Public Works, Economic Development, Fire Department, Police Department. They probably get sick of me, but we all are working towards a common goal of community outreach, and they're very, very helpful in that. On that note, I'd like to remind all of staff and council that you are welcome and encouraged to attend our events, any and all of them. It's a great opportunity to connect with our businesses and showcase the town's support for their needs. It's also worth noting our board is comprised of volunteers from our local business community. A couple of them are in the back, Debbie Davis and out in Wadford. If you have any questions about what we do and the opportunities we provide to the business community, I hope you'll feel free to reach out to myself or one of said volunteers. I could honestly go on much longer about all our chamber does, but I only have so much time. I'm passionate about the work that we do, and I hope that if you have any questions about what we're currently doing or a suggestion for something that we could do, you won't hesitate to reach out to me or a member of our board. And for anyone else in the room that doesn't have my contact, wintervillechamber.com has all of the board's contact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca. Next up is Ms. Rashana Carmen.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Happy New Year to everyone. I know last month we had a lot of discussion about the town charter and the policies, specifically regarding the mayor pro tem role in Winterville. I'm curious to know if there is any further discussion about fixing the discrepancies between the charter and the policy to ensure that our policies are consistent with our town charter. Last month, you know, I was kind of concerned sitting here, you know, because it seemed as though when Councilwoman Farrell brought the issues up, it was kind of like brushed off like it was not important. To me, that's very important because we're talking about the things that run this town and to make sure that this town is ran smoothly. And if that's not important to the people that sit up here on this council, that concerns me as a citizen. I know that Ms. Parker said that she will provide the draft to the council with the corrections to the policy, and I was just curious to know if that actually took place or if that's something that was tabled to never, you know, be discussed again by you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ross Peterson.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Congratulations, Mr. Moy. He's in my district and he's my leader, so congratulations again. Again, I had two primary purposes of coming today. One was kind of spoken. I think 2025 is off to a great year with that denial. You know, again, town of Winterville is a small town. You know, we'll never have the biggest amphitheater, the biggest sports complex, the biggest mall. People move here because it's safe and it's clean. And so when these developers come in and take our land and just zone it, you know, just around this neighborhood right here, single family homes. Again, one of y'all presentations when I was here a few months ago said we're 65% homeowners. How great would it be 80, 90%? Crime will go down, streets will be clean. People care about their homes. So again, I want to thank the council. I don't live in that neighborhood or near it, but I'm glad you did that because again, we only have so much land left and it's up to us to dictate what that is. 1,500 square foot on a half an acre. How great would that be? I mean, houses around us. All right, primary purpose I'm here because I was here a few months ago about our recycling. Again, I'm an advocate recycler. You know, I'm now taking recycling to our substation over across the highway. Then I'm thinking, why am I paying taxes and fees? You know, we talk about what Greenville does. Guess what Greenville does? It recycles every week. You know, again, I'm a little mystified that, you know, after all these years of having construction debris picked up, recycling picked up, my taxes goes up, my fees goes up, but my services goes down. And I think some of it's maybe because our population is growing, but it's growing with this condensed non-family environment. So again, I just encourage, if there's any way possible, to look at our income, look at our taxes, bring back recycling. I mean, I see more cans, recycling cans sitting on the street, trash cans sitting on the street. I've seen more garbage throughout my entire community. I've been here 30 years, not going nowhere. I'm not here to bother y'all. I appreciate what y'all do. But again, for a town that has 100% surplus of money, which federal government needs a lesson from us. But kudos to our council previous, our members, everybody, having a great budget. Again, I just encourage us to find the means and methods to get back what we used to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Matt?
Yes, my name is Matt. I live at 2418 Mill Street, that dangerous highway, that dangerous intersection. And I hope they make that, I hope you make that the top priority. Yes, we do need a community building. Yes, we do need the sidewalks, but please make the traffic light #1. We want people here. We want people, how you gonna do with a sidewalk and the people dead? They're getting killed out there. Oh, what I want to say is thank you to the town for that beautiful Christmas lights. It looked like Santa Claus. It was beautiful. I thank you. And I thank Council Hawkins also for being a strong voice for the people. what would we do if we didn't have anybody to speak for the people? And I know that you've been talking about that traffic light, and I sure hope you succeed with it. And I like this, that you put the notice in here, because now I can put it in my back pocket, pull it out. I don't have to be looking for papers and stuff. This is nice. And also, we are having the Black History program at the Winterville Charter Academy, and we thank Ms. Nunez for hosting it for the Winterville Historic and Arts Society. This is going to be something that you really want to see. We want to hear this because this is big time history in Winterville. We had a student from our school who was shot and killed, and it's Greenborough's unsolved oldest homicide. You're going to want to hear about this, about Grimes. And we are inviting the little children this year. We have little children to perform also. We always want to involve our little children when it comes to education. And we are also going to talk about the school being pulled across the railroad track by Muse to the new location. And I thank everybody for being here. You know what I was expecting? The next people being here today, 25. I look, it's a lot of people. It's more people than the been. And I'm so happy. And I thank you all for voting for the red, green, yellow light. And I do hope we get that soon. I know my minutes by that. Look at the mayor looking at me like that. It's about time for me to sit down. Okay, but I want to thank everybody, and I thank the Chamber of Commerce for voting for me to be the Citizen of the Year out of 10,000 people. Oh, number one. You know I'm here now.
Thank you, Ms. Matt.
I got some questions for her.
Okay.
Date and time of your program, at the charter school. The date and time of it.
Oh, it will be February the 23rd, the last Sunday in February, 3 through 5. 3 through 4 is for the children, and then 4 through 5 is for the adults. We'll be talking about the legacy of Winterville's color school. That school is now W.H. Robinson. We got a lot to tell you about what we went through.
And are there gonna be any activities at the depot this year? Down at the depot, right here in Winterville? I mean, you know, I'm one of those old folks, you know, this, I consider that out of town. Bells Fork area, I kind of consider it kind of out of town. So will there be anything right in town? I mean, within the city limits?
I'm not sure because they told me that the days were taken up. So, what about you? You like to answer that? Okay, that's all right. I don't think so, but they are sponsoring the legacy of the color school, which will be at the charter school. And I really thank them for letting us come over there.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, Ms. Sharon Evans.
Good evening. She is a hard act to follow. I am Dr. Sharon McDonald Evans, and it is a pleasure to be here. Happy New Year, everyone. Want to begin by emphasizing that my intent is not to be contentious, but to foster a spirit of collaboration for the betterment of the town. It is evident that there is room for improvement in how the council operates, particularly in terms of efficiency and accountability. A key concern is the lack of acknowledgement of errors and the absence of immediate corrective active measures. Addressing mistakes openly and promptly is not a weakness, but a hallmark of strong leadership. And by doing so, the council can build greater trust and credibility with the residents you serve. It is also equally important to highlight the need for equity in decision-making and resource allocation. While the council is predominantly composed of African-American members, there is a perception that there is a unique needs and concerns of the African-American residents of Winterville and underserved populations that are not being addressed. Equity is not merely about representation. It is about ensuring that policies, resources, and opportunities truly benefit all segments of the community. I urge the council to think about this and take steps and actions that concern and involve all residents, ensuring everyone is treated equally with dignity and respect. Finally, I would like to address the importance of ensuring that the town operates in alignment with the North Carolina General Statutes. If the current town charter contradicts or falls short of these statutes, it is imperative that you revisit and rewrite that charter. A well-crafted charter should not only comply with state law, but also reflect the values and priorities of the Winterville residents. This is an opportunity to modernize and strengthen the town's governance and framework and to better serve the people. I encourage the council to reflect on these points I've made so nicely tonight and consider how we can work collectively as we move forward a more efficient and equitable and transparent system of governance. Winterville has the potential of being a model community where leadership truly prioritizes the well-being of the citizens and the residents that you serve, and also people that pass through Winterville. As Councilwoman Veronica always says, Pitt Community College is in Winterville, not Greenville. However, you have to decide how you're going to move forward, but also understand that any movement impacts your future. And I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Next up is the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Smith, to approve the consent agenda. If you have any questions, any comments? If none, can you use your clicker, please? Motion carry. Old business, none. New business. 2025 through 2026. Biennial legislated goals and voting process. I turn that over to Terry.
And may I turn it over to Don?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. What we need to do tonight is we need to nominate a person to serve as the delegate that will, this will all be held virtually. There's no meeting to go, don't have to go anywhere, to receive and vote on the legislative goals. And your agenda packet had the statements, those statements in it. And as soon as the town selects someone, I'll submit that tomorrow. And then that person will get the information so they can proceed to vote. It is a short, they didn't give us a very long turnaround time. So just when you do get that, if you would act on it.
Donald, and it's my understanding that an alternate's not required.
Not required because unless, because hopefully it's not having to go or do
Right,
anything.
it's
The
all being
person
done
can
on-
get it,
Right. It's all
do it
online.
and act on it.
Okay.
I have a question. Could I?
Yes.
Is this something new? I don't recall this last year, and if it's not, can you refresh my memory and reference when this was made and who was the representative last year. This is just for clarification for myself and/or anyone else who has that question.
Somebody help me here, but biennium, I think, means that it's every other year, so 2 years.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, but I do not recollect who served on that 2 years ago.
Tony.
Yeah, I think
It was
it
Tony.
I
was
do
Councilman
believe,
Moy.
I
Councilman
do
Moore.
think it was Councilman Moore.
Councilman Moore.
We'll double check that.
This used to be an in-person meeting.
Right, correct.
From NCLM. You would meet and you would go in and meet with committees and we decide on the goals that North Carolina League of Municipalities would address during the legislative time. So that
So
is
they transitioned
what
it
it's
to
all about.
online.
So goals that they would address per our municipality or just overall, and that's put into a
Statewide.
pool?
Statewide.
Okay, so
Statewide.
statewide.
And what was in the agenda was a summary of all of them that would be a part of that, of
They-
those things that could be included and would be, they would select which ones you wanted to encourage to be pushed.
And that would last for a duration. It's
2 years.
2 years, so that would last, and that would be referenced for the 2 years, and now it's expiring.
We go through, and of course, they're going to evolve during that time frame. And of course, we're getting ready to go into long session and then the short session after that. So these goals will work during this long session and then the next short session.
Since they work with the House and Senate of the state to represent all of us that are members, so it's a set of goals to try to determine how they would then set their lobbying, what subjects that they would be working with the state legislature on.
Yeah. I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I would like to make a to elect the mayor, Mayor Hines.
Second.
Have a motion to elect Mayor Hines, motion made by Councilman Moy, second by Councilwoman Harrell. Any discussion? If none, please vote. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. He's got to
He's
get a
got to
slide.
make the slide.
Got to get a slide again. Thank you, Willie. While we waiting on that, what we got to sign?
Yeah, I was going to cover that.
Okay, all right.
To proceed to vote now.
Okay, can you proceed?
Hawkins.
Need a vote? Motion carry. And thank you all. And I think also too, this is when they come here to Greenwood. Right?
Yes.
Session where you go in, do your thing in there, vote in there. If I'm not mistaken. All right.
Mayor, before we get into other agenda items, I just wanted to quickly cover, if I might, the letter that I forwarded to you all just a few minutes ago. I wanted you to have a draft copy at your seats. Ms. Manning has drafted this letter. This is the one we have to get to the local government commission that references the items that were discussed in our audit presentation. And this letter in response to the LGC is one that you all have to sign. And so Jessica's going to ask you all to stick around real quickly after the conclusion of our meeting to sign the letter. We will get you a signed copy, but I just wanted you to have a copy of what the letter entails before we get to that item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, other agenda items, the first one is, intersection at Mill Street, Board Street, ongoing update, Councilwoman Hawkins.
Yes, of course, I've been bringing this before the council for several months. Last month, I presented a year in review. This had been on the year in review several times. I'm looking for a definitive vote. I'm going to make a motion tonight. We've had emails back and forth with NCDOT. I question the traffic count. I question the dates of it. Mr. Evans from NCDOT has told me that he cannot provide a traffic count for Main and Mill. However, because it's over 10 years, which baffles me in a 21st century where you cannot come up with a traffic count from, I don't care if it's 25 years ago. If there's a disaster there or whatever in terms of infrastructure, I guarantee you a traffic count will then be resumed. So I don't believe him. The Main and Mill, the flow of traffic from Main and Mill goes right down to Main and Boyd. Traffic from coming up Mill Street from 11 is without a doubt in need of signalization or as Mr. Evans has shared in his last email in December, always stop sign. This was brought before the council before. It was paused to watch to see what happened. An accident occurred. There's digital stops or slow down apparatus there. The batteries are going out every time you look. While people are slowing down, there is no long-term data that says that is going to prevent an accident. There is no data that shows how many slow downs are put on there versus how many thank yous. We're looking at slow downs, thank yous, we're looking, and this is people's lives. So I'm bringing this before the council once again. The public is watching what we do, and we are asking for signalization. Mr. Evans has shared with us, if we want signalization, we have to privatize. We have to make the street private. And he kept insinuating that it's going to be expensive. Lives are expensive, loss of life. We had somebody on 11, a hit and run. Nobody, I don't know the update on that, but that was a life. We don't want any of that on Mill Street. I have asked the council to converge out there and look. I don't know what time the traffic count was, but if you come out on Mill and Boyd between the hours of 2 and 6, you would agree that there is too much traffic not to have any safety apparatus outside of stop signs. That's not working anymore. There's no stopping on Mill Street. Everybody's blowing through Mill Street. They're stopping adjacent stop signs on Boyd Street off of W.H. Robinson, where not that much traffic is coming through there. So I am making a motion tonight that we put an always stop sign, and or if we cannot do that, Mr. Evans said, and let me take I don't know if I can take my motion off, but he says he wants to do another traffic count on Main and Mill, and if it doesn't equate to a signalization, that he's gonna pull that light down. That's gonna cause more havoc. So in good conscience of pedestrians, in good conscience of what we have said, before I make a motion, I'm gonna ask that Mr. Bowers please speak to what you think we need to do before I make a motion, because tonight we need to do something. This has been spoken about on and on and on and on. These lives are valuable. My life is valuable. My daughter's life is valuable. Everybody, my son's life are valuable. Anybody who's driving in Winterville or walking, we need something there. Please, sir.
Sure. Mayor, council, tonight, we have before you again this topic of Mill and Boyd Street. And essentially, as Councilwoman Hawkins has alluded to, there has been a lot of back and forth with NCDOT over a long period of time. A lot of inquiries, a lot of back and forth. And I think ultimately, and it might just be easiest if I just kind of try to simplify like what our options are based on the conversation I had with him today, that the council can maybe look at and consider and then make a decision on. And so with that being said, we basically you have 4 options that are available to the council. You can leave it as is. You can include flashing stop lights on the signs that are on Boyd Street, not Mill Street. And these, the flashing lights would be on the stop sign, but they would also have just shields on them, just like the signalized light would. So it should help direct the light down the street and then not into the neighbor's properties, because I knew that was a concern that had been expressed. So I asked him about that, and he said they call them blinders. They would have the same blinders at the signals on the signalized intersection we have. The next option would be a takeover, the town to take over Mill Street and Boyd Street. Again, that's the cost of maintaining the street would come back to the town. It would go on our POW bill, so we would get a little bit of money back at the end of the year for maintaining those streets, but long-term, it would jeopardize the sidewalk project. That project in and of itself is right at $2 million. And then we would not only just be taking over Mill Street, but we would also have to take over Boyd. And then the 4th option would be an always stop. So those are the 4 options that have kind of where we've landed today through the iterative process that we've been through and the request for information. Those are the 4 that kind of sit before us.
So the stoplight that most of us would like to see, it's not an option.
It would be NCDOT's investigation. They used a third party, based on their comments, they used a third party engineering firm to do the surveillance of the intersection. It did not meet the required warrant, what they call warrants. It didn't meet the threshold for a signalized intersection. And so for the town to get a signalized intersection there, he's saying that we would have to take over the streets and install the signal ourselves.
So just, again, just to voice. That didn't warrant, he said that was out there about, I don't know, 12 to 18 hours, including rush hour in the morning and the evening. That didn't warrant a signalized stop sign, but Main and Mill did 25 years ago when the population was probably half. And when you ask for that, he cannot provide that. So that makes no sense. The 4 choices you gave, I'm an educator, and we have multiple choice tests, right? And you have some answer that makes no sense. It makes no sense to say that we're gonna make it private and you're putting up against a wall. Hey, you do what we say, or we're gonna do it. So that makes no sense. Then you have one that is wrong, right? Flashing lights. We just want flashing lights. We said we want flashing lights on Boyd Street or Mill Street.
Well, they would be at the stop signs. So, a few months ago, we had requested warning lights of the intersection as people approached on Mill Street, but they said that they would not do that, that if there were flashing lights installed, it would have to be at the stop signs on Boyd Street.
On the stop signs.
on the stop sign, yeah.
That's not, flashing lights on Boyd Street when cars are blowing up and down Mill Street, but we're gonna have flashing lights on. I mean, can anybody, do we have pictures of this, what he's saying? Like scenarios of this? Like, these are people's lives, and not to you, Mr. Bowers. I'm just, seriously. Do we have pictures of what he is asking?
I do not have them
Yeah,
tonight. I could,
Yeah. There's no way. Flashing lights on adjacent stop signs. So who's gonna see it when they're coming up and down Mill with flashing lights that way?
right,
Does
you
that
would
make
not
sense?
see them on Mill Street.
Thank
no, ma'am.
you. That makes, so that's another multiple choice that makes no sense. And then you have the two multiple choice that are close to each other, right? And that is always stop sign. And what's the other one you said? You got leave it, flashing lights, that makes no sense.
Leave it as is.
Leave it as is. That's, yeah. That's a wrong answer. Leave it as it is not okay, and that is why I keep speaking to it. It is not being persistent to be adversarial. It is being persistent because we want to be proactive rather than always reactive. And while Mr. Jesus have come up and spoke, she is a voice of many, right? When you see her, let's not take it lightly. She is a voice of many who are speaking to me about it. They just can't make it out here. A lot of people in that area are elderly. A lot of people are young. A lot of people are afraid to come out and speak. They just don't speak publicly, right? So my best answer is an always stop sign if we're not getting anything else. And Mr. Evans have said that an always stop sign would be the best choice. He said there's an always stop sign on Old Tar Road, and that is not hindering traffic. He said the speedway comes down to the always stop sign. There is no backup traffic. So why can't we have it there? So if he's not giving us any other choices, then this is what we need. So I would like to make a motion for an always stop sign on the intersection of Mill Street and Boyd Street.
May I, would you also, Councilwoman Hawkins, add to amend the resolution that we currently have in place? We would need to amend that, correct?
Well, we could either amend that or draft a new one.
Right, either way, but we need to submit the associated resolution with that motion.
And so for clarification, the current resolution is having
It was flashing warning.
Warning, that would have
signs.
been tentative after our wait period, right? Can somebody read back what, because I can't, like, I know it was in terms of the flashing stop lights tentatively. They can't go there without, I know you said like the covering. Flashing stop signs, lights on Boyd Street, adjacent stop signs, that makes no sense. That's not helping anything. It's all day and all night. Nope.
That's why we just need to either draft a new resolution or amend the current one. With,
Sure, I can restate. Should I restate, or?
Would you just add that to your motion?
Add the motion that a new resolution be drafted with the.
That way we don't have to bring it back.
So to add to the motion, I would add that the resolution for the flashing stop lights be taken out. I don't, what am I, I'm not an expert, I'm not an
So
engineer.
that resolution was denied by NCDOT, so basically we would need a new resolution, simply asking for the four-way stop sign, which is included in your motion.
Sure.
Ms. Hawkins, I think Attorney Lassiter, if you make the motion that I'm hearing you say of Mill and Boyd with an always stop, then the resolution will reflect that information. If, with the way that you're saying.
Do I need to restate or do what Mr. Harvey said?
I think what the clerk is saying is fine. We'll draft a new resolution to coincide with your motion.
I was just trying not to bring it back, if they
Yeah,
go ahead and
yeah.
include that, so we can get it.
So
on
it would
council and
include the
DOT.
approval of the draft resolution, or approval of drafting the resolution.
So I want to make an amendment with the approval of drafting the new resolution to include an always stop sign.
Right, that's it.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilwoman Hawkins, second by Councilwoman Robinson, to draft a new resolution to include a four-way stop sign, correct? That's correct.
Four-way at that, at
Four-way.
the
Or all-way is
Boyd
what they
Mill Street
call it now.
intersection.
Four-way stop. Is that how you want me to word it?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
And I'll make a comment about it.
All right.
It seems like that's the only solution that we're seeing in our area to, problem intersections, you know? It seems like, you know, they're not putting in it, you know, we know that to put, it seems like, a regular stoplight there that's not feasible for us. We don't want the flashing stoplights because we don't want to interfere with our neighbors' areas. We don't want it to stay as it is. So it seems that that's the only resolution we have. So, and we spent a lot of time on this, so trying to come up with something. So, but we do need something there. I know that.
So you call for the vote now?
Now, call for the vote, Dr. Herrera.
I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, call for the vote. Yeah.
For four-way stop sign.
Four-way stop, yeah.
Yes.
Like them, that's the style is. Thing you get.
Yeah, I was waiting for Ms. Robertson to finish with her statement and comments, and then I did have some questions before we went to vote, but since the vote has already started, I do have reservations about stop signs. I do, but my biggest problem is I know Councilor Harkin mentioned about the Tar Road and that four-way stop sign there. And it's not backing all the way back up to the main street. But it really slows up the traffic, you know, because I live on that side. It hasn't been workable. I think it's to a point they don't have no choice. I haven't seen an accident there.
And that's what we don't want to see. And we don't want to wait until it happens. We want to be proactive. There has been accidents there, and they were really not, they're not good. So we want to be proactive.
Yeah. Well, since, that's my point was to say, since the four-way stop signs has been there, I have not witnessed
Yes, sir.
accident.
Yes, sir.
And that's all we can get.
Yes, sir, those are your options.
Yes, and we definitely don't want them, we definitely don't want to take over the town. Okay, I know you're waiting on mine. And mine's not gonna make that much different anyway, because we got 3 yeses.
The vote is unanimous.
Yes, but,
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know the reason why.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next up is number 2, the town council policies available for public review. Councilwoman Hawkins.
Yes, I just wanted to speak to, last month, in terms of a conflict between the policies and procedures and the town ordinances. And it was mentioned by Town Manager Parker, I'm not sure, the minutes, if we can bring it up, that this would be changed or we would work to change it. There are many discrepancies between the policies and procedures or rules that the council are going by and ordinances. And I would like to first know when this is going to be rectified, and next, when both of these will be available and updated for public review. Because at the end of the day, we are here to serve the public and kind of not go by our leisure. I feel like a lot of this stuff should have been done already, or we should have some sort of timeline or action plan in place. So that is that is on my agenda, and that is my question tonight.
May I ask a question, just a point of clarification, and perhaps some of our veteran members can help me? So the issue from the last meeting, if I'm not, please help me if I'm incorrect, the action that was taken was in line with the actual charter, correct? Which supersedes the policies and procedures, and that action has been taken for how long, which aligns to the charter?
Last 5 years.
So
or at least
the charter is in line with the statute that speaks to appointing Mayor Pro Tem at the organizational meeting of the council. You can jump in if I'm incorrect.
That's correct, it does.
It doesn't define when the organizational meeting is. Historically, ours has been in December, obviously, in alignment with the elections. I would say 2018, I believe. Prior to 18, historically, and it's been all over the place, but historically since I've been here, if not before, the Mayor Pro Tem was the person who had the longest running tenure on the board. And that was fairly consistent until 2018. The council decided to appoint a Mayor Pro Tem every year in December during the organizational meeting, whether there was an election or not. So the charter is a little more, and the statute's a little more generic about appointing a Mayor Pro Tem, and when that's done at the organizational meeting, it's up to this specific council, as it has been previous councils, as to when they deem that. Since 2018, I believe it's been every year. I don't know if that helps, but that's sort of the history of what's happened. I think in looking back even prior to the late 90s, I know Don did quite a bit of research on this. Way back, it was kind of all over the place in terms of the board in place and what they chose to do. Does that answer your question, Councilwoman Smith?
I'd like to say something. So in my request for the last 20 years of the listing of the Mayor Pro Tem, it was not all over the place. It was done on an election cycle, and it looks like it went outside of an election cycle, let's see, 2020 through 2021. So it was not all over the place. And
I'm referring to prior, further back than 20 years.
Okay, I wasn't finished speaking.
Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Thank you. So it was not all over the place. It was, again, looks like one council member that was Mayor Pro Tem for numerous years. And so even if that was the case, we need to make sure whomever, is Mayor Pro Tem, so on and so forth, we need to make sure, as we have seen residents and non-residents speak out against the dangers of having a misalignment, and also King from our last meeting spoke about the conflict with the policies and procedures, and that we should table things or get those things written out as a council. Because first and foremost, a misalignment between the charter and between the policies can create legal challenges and other conflicts, and things can be challenged by our citizens in court. And that's costly, and we don't want to go down that road. So the biggest thing here is not the title of Mayor Pro Tem, but it's about making sure that our policies and our procedures align correctly so we can regain trust from our citizens.
One problem that we have is that we have a set of rules and procedures, and we have a charter. And the rules and procedures were not necessarily aligned with the charter. And we need to make sure that those two things are aligned. Because if we had been using the rules and procedures when we had that vacancy, Ms. Hawkins would have been appointed to fill that seat if we had followed the rules and procedures. But we didn't, for whatever reason. But I would like to see that done too. I would like to see us decide whether, look in the charter, the things that are in the charter that tie into the rules and procedures are aligned, and that we adopt the rules and procedures for boards, which of course were written. I worked on them, and they were written based on a publication from the North Carolina League of Municipalities.
Mayor, just very briefly, I believe our charter and the general statutes are pretty much consistent. It references the organizational meeting. I think probably what we need to do, of course, with the guidance and the consent and direction of the council, is to go into the policies and procedures and address there and put it just in writing, as they say, in black and white. Do we want to vote on and address the Mayor Pro Tem issue just each year, just like say each year in December, and boom, it's there? Or do we want to follow just post-election? And then I think will remove any question about the maybe in off-year times, that we would have a vote on Mayor Pro Tem. We have to do it per statute following an election cycle.
Again, I'm speaking about, and I know that Councilwoman Hawkins is bringing up about the Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor, but however, I'm speaking about the policies and procedures as a whole. I think that we as a council we do the vision setting workshops, we do all the other workshops, but we want to make sure that we have policies that are in place that, we can subsequently agree on and move forward. So, saying yes that we need to do it is great. As, excuse me, as another resident came up and asked, hey, have you guys discussed it, or is this something that was brought up never to, be stated again? I think that at this time, conversation needs to be turned into action.
Well, I mean, we can address it because, as you said earlier in the vision, this is what the council's supposed to do. I mean, this is when we set our plans, put them in action. I think that's your time to put this in action. I mean, and if we want to get it in line, direct the staff to do this, to get it in line, doing our vision set. Is that correct, Manager?
I heard from last month's meeting, I believe it was last month's meeting, that staff was to proceed forward with looking at the policies and trying to take those areas. I believe we talked about Rule 20, we talked about Mayor Pro Tem, and any other places where there were things that need to be clarified and put in order, and to start working on those. Don and I have also talked about the fact that the Code of Ordinances needs an overhaul, which is done in conjunction with American Legal, who hosts our Code of Ordinances. They assist with looking for misalignments, I think that's a good word, for things that aren't legally up to date anymore, in addition to things council would like to change and see in the code of ordinances. Needless to say, that's a much, that takes longer. But Don and I are working to get that, we call it a complete overhaul. When you all pass ordinances and you make changes that affect the code of ordinances, Don sends an update, I believe it's quarterly, Don, to American Legal, and they will update the ordinance to put in what you all have changed. But in terms of going through and looking at it holistically, we have not done that in a while. And so I think, I'm sorry. I've heard, and we've already started to take a look at trying to identify those and addressing them. I will say staff will need assistance from council in wording some of these sections so that it encompasses what you all want to see as how you all should handle things in certain areas moving forward, be it mayor pro tem, be it replacing a vacancy on the council, and any other sections that you all would like to discuss. So I think we're there. If you all would like to take another vote, that's fine, but I know that staff's working on it. In terms of a time frame, Councilwoman Hawkins, that's fair. I think the policies and procedures, that's a much shorter document. So, in working collectively with council to try to make sure we address the areas that you all would like to see addressed, that can happen probably, I would say, within a 3-month time period. The code of ordinances, we need to probably get a proposal from American Legal on time frame and cost and bring that back to council just so you have a realistic idea of what we're looking at in terms of time frame.
I would say that I wouldn't definitively give anything on that until we touch base with, and I have in the past tried to, or talk to them about this. That's going to be a longer time period. It is, we'll have to pay them to do that.
Sure.
But it would then get all of the things, because there, I mean, one thing that has gone even, that needs to be, or could be brought up, but it's, and I would say that the charter, I mean, I don't think here we're talking about changing the charter, because that's a whole another realm also. Policies, that's your document and lasts as long as you're here, but I would point out that, Keen, correct me if I'm wrong, that then the next board can vote and make any changes on that.
Change it.
So just keep that in mind as you're doing that. But, and also, I think staff would be welcome to receive markups from you all of content that, or points, because we may not be able to catch every little uncrossed T and dotted I, so to speak.
So with that being said, would we be able to work on that during the vision setting, or is that what we're saying?
Or we could set a separate workshop, however, council. I assume everybody has a copy, but we can certainly make another copy available of the policies and procedures. I encourage everyone to take a look in as you identify areas that you would like to see either discussed or changed or whatnot. We do have some minor things like alderman, that term is still used throughout the document. So obviously changing that to city, town council is fairly simplistic, but if you all see other things, please call our attention to it, because we may not know that council would like to see a different approach or something different.
I do. I have something that I've called to Town Manager Parker's attention in terms of section 32.002, general supervision of our police department. Now, if the town council does not have exclusive general supervision of the police department, and we're saying that it's a manager council type of supervision, then this needs to be noted expeditiously. Because if we're not going to change this, this is incorrect. And then there goes legal repercussions when we're asking for stuff. And so that is what I'm mentioning right out here publicly. This needs to be done expeditiously because it's sitting right here and we're disregarding it, and that's not okay. And, and we need to move on that quick.
And that's a great example of one that's in conflict with the actual state statute. So you make a good point. Keen and I have identified and continue to identify those areas where there is conflict of that nature, and there, we do need to address those, and that can be handled it doesn't have to wait for a complete overhaul is what I'm saying. Those things, as we find those, I think we can address those accordingly.
And I just, not 2 cents, when the town charter was changed, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but we're talking about in the mid-90s. So it's been a while back when it was changed. We changed our form of government so that we went through all the proper procedures to amend our charter. That led to, and I agree that that language, the section you're referring to, needs to be removed. It would be language that was rendered irrelevant because of the change in the charter for the change in the form of government. But it needs to come out.
And I think there's some other areas.
Because it's current. Because when it's in black and white, whether it's was changed or not, this is the ordinance that the town is going by. So this needs to be done immediately.
Well, it legally has no force and no effect. It's in the charter, but with the change in the form of government, if we're talking about the oversight of the police department, that was removed from the alderman. That's language that's left over before we had a town manager. And we probably back at the time we had 3 aldermen, and the aldermen had different sections of the different departments that they oversaw.
So then this needs to be removed.
It needs to come out.
If it's in here, then this is black and white. And it might not be seem deceptive, or it might not seem to be an oversight, but it is a huge oversight. And it is what is referenced by the public, and we're having a discussion now about it. It needs to be removed immediately.
And Keen, I think that may be in the actual ordinance, the actual administration section of the ordinances, and not necessarily the charter, which will be easier to.
Outside of the charter, the charter, as we all know, has per statute some different procedural hurdles to jump through to amend the charter. Outside the charter, just in the code itself, it's something that y'all can vote on. Pretty sure, I don't even think you need a public hearing for that. So it'd be easy to make that change.
But as you all discover other instances, particularly in the code, as we're going over this overhaul, please call our attention to it.
So what is a reasonable time frame to have all this done?
I think 3 months. This is my recommendation on the policies and procedures and working collectively with council, if that's acceptable. I think Don and I need to bring back the proposal from American Legal, and we'll try to do that, Donald, by next meeting with the price and the time frame for the Code of Ordinances. Get you all to approve that, and then we can get started, and that should have a time frame. And
can we say by May 12th?
What by May 12th?
Have the procedure by May 12th.
You mean March?
May.
She said 3 months.
May is 5 months.
Right now, I'm not counting this. I'm not counting this month.
If we have, if we do some of it during vision setting, and maybe even have a special meeting if we need to, we probably try to have a draft for approval by April.
Okay. Well, I was just saying May. If you can get it by April, would be fine. But you got to understand, there's still day-to-day operations that the town is responsible for, as well as all the rest of this. But so I'm just giving you enough time so we won't have to come back and say,
Right,
If something
right,
comes
right,
up in
right.
between, you give to May the 12th, May
Okay.
the 12th.
I-
That's your deadline.
We can certainly work with.
And I do appreciate this conversation, but like what happened last month, and we said we're gonna fix it and look into it. We're saying we're gonna fix that during the vision setting and look for all the other discrepancies during then, or start the process. Because something else could come up, and then we don't know what to reference. We have we don't know what to do.
In terms of policies and procedures, I've already started looking at and highlighting the areas that need to be changed. You all have made a decision on the verbiage in Rule 20 previously, but if there's any honing of that verbiage, certainly now's the time to do it. Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to make sure you all have to decide how you would like to see that verbiage written, and anything else that may come up to your minds as you review the policies and procedures. They are the two big things that I'm aware of we've discussed in the policies and procedures. Please let me know if I've missed something.
I know what we need removed out of here. I know 32.002 needs to be removed, and I will go through this with a fine-tuned comb, as well as get others to help me to look and find what needs to be brought up or brought before the council, highlighted and changed.
You're referring to the ordinances?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So are we all, we said May 12th, but it could be done before May 12th. May 12th would be our board meeting night. Okay, but it may come before you before May 12th, but May 12th would be the timeline. Everybody agree to that? That gives efficient enough time.
And then we should be back in the February meeting with a proposal from American Legal for your consideration and hopeful approval on the Code of Ordinances.
May 12th.
And this is for?
For the updated to the policy, correct?
Just
to the rules of procedure.
Rules of
Yes,
procedure.
yes.
I'm sorry, to the rules of
Yes.
procedure.
I'm sorry, for clarity, for the rules and procedure, what are we doing with this? What's the timeline? Is this included? What are we?
So
This
the
is-
one item that we're talking about, okay, rules of procedure, that's what you have in your hand.
Yes.
The specific item in the ordinance that you're referring to, I think Keen and I can work on that outside of the complete overhaul, which we're gonna bring the proposal back next month. That answer?
So this is gonna be a proposal brought back next month?
For the complete
Complete.
review of the Code of Ordinances.
Sure.
But work on the specific item we discussed
By May
separately.
12th.
Well, before that, on the ordinance, the rules of procedure by May 12th. Does that make sense? So rules of procedure by May 12th.
These
That's
are the
by May
rules and
12th. Right,
procedures,
correct.
May
May
12th.
May 12th.
This brought back,
The one item regarding oversight of the police department, work on that ASAP. And then the complete overhaul and review of the Code of Ordinances, proposal next month.
the complete overhaul proposal next month, work on 32.02, you
Correct.
said ASAP. What does that
But
mean?
hopefully to reword that section to take out what's no longer applicable and to bring that back for council approval.
Next month.
Yes, and I don't think that has to have a public hearing, so hopefully that draft would just be able to be presented and you all approve it.
Sure. Thank you for the
Yes, ma'am.
clarity.
All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
there is some information I have to go in your code books. So at our next time we come together, whether next month or vision setting, please bring your Code of Ordinance book with you, and I will, can get you the information for those. Or you can drop it off someday to me if you're by, and I'll slide in the new sheets for you.
So Councilwoman Hawkins, is three kind of like, did two kind of answer three, or you still need to talk about three?
So, yeah, I would like to talk about 3
Okay.
whenever, is it
Yeah,
your turn?
yeah. Mhm.
So I would like to talk about 3 in terms of just us as a council, for the other variety of boards that we have, there's like term limits of 3 years, 5 years, different years. And then even with the mayor pro tem, when things are getting into decades worth, I just think that we as a council should have some sort of a conversation about what are the limits? Is it just no limits or some limits for some boards, and who came up with it and where is it? I guess when I go through it with the fine-tooth comb, I would see. But just for fairness for everyone, just the acknowledgement and the knowledge of how long terms of service could be. And I'm newly on the council, and that's just a question that I have. That's just a question that I wanted to bring up, and just like the intersection, we've been talking about it for months and months and months and months, and other items, months and months. There doesn't have to be an answer, but I just wanted to bring this out. I just want to say it. What's the limit? Why is it limits on some things and not others? And
May I ask a question for a point of clarification?
Sure.
In item 3, it says terms of service, town council, mayor pro tem, and mayor. So town council and mayor, those are election seats.
Right.
So that would be the election cycle, and if they're re-elected, they would continue. So I don't know that a term of service their term is their election cycle. Does that make sense, what I'm
Yeah, and there
stating?
are no term limits for
Right.
the council.
Sure, and so, as just stated, there are no term limits. Of the United States, the office of the United States of America, the president of the United States has 2 term limits. Am I right?
Yes.
That was just my question. Is there unlimitless, infinity, or,
But then there are branches that don't have term limits.
Right.
In reference
just
to the
my
president, the Constitution lays out that term limit for the president, the 2 terms or 10
Right.
years. There's no term limits as far as, on the state side of things for an elected official.
All right, thank you. That was my question. And I hope that the council is welcome to questions, because anybody in any educational setting, it doesn't have to be school. If we're together and we're growing, we're learning. And when you're learning, you have questions. And so that is how you gain knowledge and information, when you ask a question.
Yes, and if I could, Councilwoman Robertson just reminded me that the governor does have term limits, and that's again controlled by the North Carolina Constitution. Right. Outside of that, the Constitution doesn't set term limits for other elected officers in the state. So there is one term limit in North Carolina, and that's the governor. Thank you.
And also to Councilwoman Hawkins, what I found was very helpful to me was the essential government class. That is they just had one in New Bern this past week. And some of my colleagues, older mayors and newer elected officials they had it in the East this time, and they were there, but that could help you. If you could get with Don and find out, how you can get that course, the essential government, that could help you a whole lot. And that could help answer some of your questions, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I'll send that out to everyone.
Yeah, because to find out when the next one would be, and where, I think, Dr. Harrell, you went to the one in Rocky Mount.
Yep, I did.
Yeah. Are you finished with 3? Okay.
I have
Number,
to, it's been a while.
number 4, community roundtable update, tentative dates, Councilwoman Hawkins.
So with regards to the community roundtable, as well as what we voted on last month in terms of Black History Month event, this is contingent upon meeting with the Human Relations Board. And so until the Human Relations Board meet, I have not been able to get together with them to formalize a tentative date to bring back before the council. This is still, something that we greatly need and want. This was voted on and approved, and I just wanted to let the public know, as well as the council know, that once we have the Human Relations meeting, then I would have some more solidified tentative dates, and as well as setting. And the primary setting will probably be at Pitt Community College. I've been in touch with them, but again, I had to get that vote from the Human Relations Board to bring back to you all.
Okay.
There's a listening session at South Central that the Board of Education sponsored, and I thought maybe that was what Councilwoman Hawkins was referring to. They're floating around to each community, and our community is February 27th at South Central from 6 to 7:30. And of course, I think it's floating, you can come and go.
What time frame?
It's from 6 to 7:30 at South Central School. I think it's the auditorium. And I saw that in the newspaper this week.
Ms. Robertson, will you send that to me, and I'll send it out to everybody then? Thank you.
It was in the newspaper. They're probably gonna notify you, but they haven't done it. But I did see that, and I wrote it down because I thought that would be good for us, those of us who can, to be aware of what our parents, listening sessions tell you what you need, what you don't need, and all those kinds of things, so.
Along those same lines, I think I had let y'all know about the breakfast over at Pitt Community College. I've heard from some of you, and some of you I hadn't. We do have a table for 8, so please let me know, those that plan to attend, so we can make sure that we use our table. But you all obviously have first priority for that.
And Councilwoman Robertson, thank you for bringing that up. That is a community listening sessions that are going all around Pitt County from our new illustrious superintendent, Dr. Steve Lassiter. He is heading this up to ensure that the voices of the parents, students, faculty are heard. He wants to hear and listen, just as we did the Pitt County listening sessions this summer. He's just going around and he's listening, him and his team, as far as the various facets of education for those who are not even at school yet, those that are coming in pre-K and kindergarten on through our seniors, what we need. So that is something that he is doing. And that is why we want to have a community roundtable and hear from the community.
You good on 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Number 5, Winterville Small Business Town Hall in 25, Councilwoman Hawkins.
Sure. I brought this up before the council, I believe back in October. I can pull my year-end review back out. But I brought this before the council, and I know it was shared that this was something that was presented here in 2021. Now, as we have entered in 2025, I would like for us to revisit a small business town hall, because we have, the town is growing, the small businesses is growing, and our Chamber of Commerce representative or president of that, Rebecca Cavanis, has just shared that she is readily willing for any ideas that we have in terms of that. So I think this would be a great collective effort to bring right here to our town hall, and just letting small businesses share who they are, what they do. This is more of a personal touch as opposed to being sent out electronically, or like people like to hear voice to voice, eye to eye. We have gotten away from that, and at the core of what this town should be is the people. And so I'm not poised to make a motion because I don't have details on the motion, but I will be contacting Rebecca Cavanis to see what she can do to help with that.
So this would be from Human Relations Board?
It could be one of the things that we do, and or just council driven. But I can bring it when we have our Human Relations Board meeting in January to see if that is something they'd like to set for maybe the spring or the summer. I know we do have our Mental Health Awareness Day that we have plotted for May for the spring. And so with all the other things that we are doing, I don't want to push it back too far, but just get some support and guidance in terms of how that can be pursued further. But I will bring it up to them.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Items for future agenda, future work sessions.
We have quite a lengthy list, and we're still formulating that list. Was hoping to get you that list at Councilwoman Harrell's request before the holidays, but we're still adding and deciding on a couple of additional meetings other than the ones we've discussed. So Don and I will be rounding out that list this week. We don't have dates for every meeting.
Right
We have
ahead.
dates for a couple of meetings, but then we will send those out to council and ask that everybody start looking at the calendars so that we can start adding dates to some of those meetings.
All right.
So please be looking for that by week's end.
Terry, does that include the League of Municipalities risk assessment? Okay.
And also,
Yeah, if I may,
Mhm.
yes, it won't be included in that list of meetings per se, but I've got a project list of things we've talked about that can come in conjunction with that.
And this will be sent to us when?
By the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is quarterly reports from department heads. Y'all don't run at one time.
Good evening again. I'll just kind of keep it brief for planning. Our last quarter, we were still seeing a significant amount of especially residential growth. This year, we saw 81 new single-family residential sites, which is about on track with what we've seen the last few years. I think 2024, what really brought us in that year is a lot of interest in developments in general, a lot of rezonings, a lot of preliminary plats being submitted. So I think it shows that this upcoming year, we're going to see still a lot of projects being submitted to the town for review, both residential and commercial. Thank you.
Stephen, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have an idea of what's planning on taking over where the furniture store will go back?
No, we've been in communication with the owners of that site. We're gonna hope once they get out to help try to find somebody, but no, the owners do not have a someone who is coming into that site after the Badcock Furniture is leaving yet. Thank you.
Should I go sit back down again?
Yeah.
Things trucking along in building inspections. On the commercial side of things, we've got Pitt Community College. Of course, you all, I think, were involved in groundbreaking for Christ Covenant School. We've got some other smaller scale commercial projects that are underway, a lot of those in the Lowe's Foods Shopping Center. Residential, not a ton of new breaking ground or getting beyond breaking ground, I should say. It's been too cold to pour concrete. So they haven't started on much new, but all those in the framing and beyond are still moving right along. Probably the biggest new one having started back, if you will, being 11 at Main. I think they've got 3 new structures underway out there with the 4th getting ready to start. Above and beyond that, we've got a few other big commercial plan reviews in and preparing for the change in code cycle, the new 2024 codes, North Carolina State Building Codes, that is, all take effect, at least as it currently stands, July 1st.
Have you attained any more certifications?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, have you attained any more certifications?
I have not. I've got all my probationary 2s. Based off of how everything is, you've got to have X number of inspections at that level before you can start testing. So I'll probably start going back to class this fall.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Most of you have seen the sewer pump station rehab projects kicked off on Chapman Street. They have successfully laid all the force main across Chapman Street twice. They're getting ready to start on making all the bores for that project, across Reedy Branch, across Highway 11. So hopefully that'll go smoothly and we can move along. On the stormwater side, since implementing some employees, we now have a full-time stormwater crew. Last quarter, they repaired right at 50 sinkholes around town. We have a few that are deeper. We're waiting on quotes we have to fix internally by a contractor. But those guys are working on that every day. And to keep it short, the Stormwater Board we kicked off last month for our first meeting. That went well. We meet again this month. So those members were excited to be here. We had good conversation, so we hope to move forward with that. Thank you.
When do y'all meet?
This month, it'll be on the 21st at 6 o'clock at the Ops Center. We were looking at every month on a Tuesday. We found out Diane has stuff going on down there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we're gonna move it to Wednesdays. That was also the City of Greenville's Planning and Zoning Board meeting, so one of our members is an engineer. He had to go to that meeting every time, so we're gonna move it to Wednesdays. Somewhere in the middle of the month, I got to talk to all the members this month to see what works best for them.
And I appreciate you coming down, looking over.
Yes, ma'am.
Land at our church and.
No problem.
Checking out the drainage and stuff like that.
Y'all come up with some more
I
plans?
learned a lot.
Good. Your raised beds are looking good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Just a few things. The town actually closed today on the 11 acres adjacent to the Town Operations Center. A great day for Winterville as we look forward to the future and protecting our future and our way of providing for the citizens as we move forward. So it's a big deal. We're also working on other land transactions and as Stephen mentioned, a lot of development going on in the area. With the development comes the infrastructure and the backbone of what it takes to get those developments, services that they need. So a lot of meetings going on with that, working with engineers on a couple studies, a stormwater AIA study, as well as our sewer master plan. And so those are kind of some of the big things. We still have the SS4A, Safe Streets for All grant, that is moving through the pipeline and still advancing on the administrative side with the federal government. So as soon as we get approval back from that, I's dotted and T's crossed, we'll start looking engineering firms to move forward with that grant. And then another big milestone we've had since last report, we made some good headway with the South Central Crosswalk project. We've had a lot of players came in, met. We kind of teamed up with the county as well as NCDOT, City of Greenville, and everybody, was really a willing partner in this. So it was a great event to see everybody come together and want to actually get something done for a change. And it was a great process. So that's moving forward. with that. And then we finished up the renovations at the Public Works facility as well as the electric building for staff. So those departments have some new does to hang out in, and everything's looking good and clean in there, and a lot different than what they had to work with in the past. So good day for those guys too. I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you. South Central project, what you speaking of?
Getting a crosswalk from Manchester so the kids can safely get to South Central High School, crossing 4 lines.
Okay.
That project would entail a crosswalk, a flashing beacon, and then, so currently there's no crosswalk there. They have a crossing guard that comes out, but if the crossing guard is not there, the children are having to cross 4 lines without any supervision or anything like that. So the next step is putting a bona fide crosswalk there, as well as the flashing beacons where the children can hit the button and so they can be identified as they cross. Again, you know, the county has really been a big supporter of this, Pitt County Schools, as well as the city of Greenville. Everybody kind of come together to try to make this happen.
Good evening. Hope y'all having a good night. Election department has been busy this quarter. As y'all both noted, we have taken a lot of time with the Christmas lights and the Christmas decorations and prepping for those and the new banners that we got for the American flag for Labor Day. We have been helping with some of the renovations in the electric shop as far as furniture and moving all our stuff back in. That's been a busy time. We've done some technical study. Our meter technicians see training in energy auditing, so maybe we can start that back. And some of our line technicians participated in a underground training school. We have been busy trying to put some wildlife guards on our Circuit 6, which feeds down Jones Street, to try to cut down some of the operations that we have, some of the blinks, and we're working on Circuit 7 now, which is Mill Street to the west out Reedy Branch Way. And we've completed over 450 general work orders and 260 cutoffs in the winter quarter. Thank you.
Jessica.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Finance is beginning to look at the budget for next fiscal year and preparing for the vision setting meeting. That'll be on January 28th. The 2024 tax bills, they were due January 6th, so we've added interest on any of the delinquent bills now. We also sent out RFPs to several banks requesting the financing for equipment and vehicles that were approved in the budget. And those bids will close on the 24th, and we'll bring that back to council next month. And we're still accepting applications for the $85 Green Lamp Assistance Program. We've processed about 129 applications. And just a reminder that those that have applied and it's been a year, they can reapply again. Thank you.
Good evening. Last month we were busy with special events. We had our Letters to Santa, our Christmas parade, and tree lighting ceremony. Thank you to everybody who was able to come out and participate. Honestly, I think that was probably one of the longest parades that we had. We had a great crowd, and then the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, great attendance, and I think everybody had a great time. We also had our seniors trip. We went to Smithfield, so they had the opportunity to shop till you drop, and we had a nice time with a nice lunch. Right now, we are gearing up for our spring baseball, and then also, Councilman Moy, T-ball and Pee Wee will be opening up February. Mark that on your calendar. And then also, we have some upcoming special events as our opening day ceremonies in March, and in April, our extravaganza.
And also, talk about our sheet try,
October 11th.
October the 11th.
Mark your calendars, is the first annual She Try, and we actually have participation from town employees. So we have 3 that will be, one will be biking, one will be running, and one will be swimming. Can I say? So I will actually be participating for the running. Town Manager Parker will be cycling, and Tristan Daughtry will be swimming.
And so I encourage our lady council members, I know Dr. Harrell is an avid workout buff. Councilwoman Hawkins, are you interested, or?
I'm just a walker.
Well, then you could be a walker then, and
I'll be scorekeeper.
Councilwoman Smith, Councilwoman Smith, can you swim?
Like a rock.
Well, it doesn't really necessarily mean, it don't mean that you have to swim. You can actually walk it, you know.
So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Right.
So it doesn't matter if you want to walk it, run it.
Right.
Is this an opportunity to be out in the community? And the ladies who are actually over the She Try are, I believe, from South Carolina?
South Carolina, from Charleston, South Carolina.
And so this is something that the mayor had talked to them about, and it's a great opportunity that, you know, they're coming to Winterville, and it's a great opportunity for us to shine.
Yeah, this is kind of like a big event. It used to be the Ramblin' Rose, which is held in Chapel Hill, and this is a kind of a large event for ladies that do a lot of triathlons and all that. But you can be the everyday woman, but it's an event that is it's geared for the whole family. It's a fun time, and this is an opportunity, as Diane says, to kind of showcase the town. It'll start in the morning, it'll be over quickly. Yeah, it's a good event, so if y'all are interested, I'm gonna go even further and say I'll pay your registration. You 3. If you 3 would be interested in it, I'll pay your registration. And I put that out there to you.
We will need to really.
4 foot.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a question about the comprehensive master plan with regards to the parks and recreations. Does this include the multi-purpose center or not? I just need clarification on that.
So the meeting that you will be a part of, the consultant will actually be going over different stuff and will touch upon the multi-purpose.
But there will be a separate, the site-specific master plan is for specifically the multipurpose.
Yeah.
When will we get more information on the site-specific plan in terms of the multipurpose center? I know the last year, the vision setting, there was a timeline set, but there was no specificity or definitive dates for us to look at along the way. And we are a year in now, going on 19 years with multipurpose. Yeah, I was told it was 18 years they've been talking about the multi-purpose center. So I know you haven't been here 19 years and you've taken on that charge. So when I say 19 years, I don't mean you have been held responsible for it. You're doing what you can. But this is the 19th year that this has been in process. So that is my urgency in terms of getting something done.
So right now we are gearing towards the final product for the comprehensive, which that is for everything throughout the town. The site-specific plan is strictly for not just the multi-purpose field or multi-purpose building, but what could possibly be at Chapman in general. So that's your site-specific, not just the multi-purpose. So we're gearing towards the end for the final product for the comprehensive. Our consultant, Nate, who will be speaking, he'll touch more on the comprehensive, and the site-specific plan to where we're able to hopefully get ready to apply for Part F this year. So it's gearing towards the end, but I want him to be able to answer any additional questions that you may have since he is the consultant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Ms. Ange?
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Our United Way campaign, we finally reached our goal of 2,500, so we're real excited about that. Yay. With our Christmas dinner, we raised $315 with the silent auction that we had. And our next big project is the classification and pay study. That will be Thursday and Friday of this week. We'll have employee orientation meetings with the MAPS group. Erica Phillips will be here. As far as posted positions, we recently posted the electrician instrumentation tech position, and that has a closing date of the 31st of January. We started the process for a fire engineer position. That didn't go so well, so we're gonna have to repost that position. You met one of our new hires earlier, Amber Owens, in the police department. And then we have John Trusello, part-time maintenance tech. He started today. And we have our lieutenant interviews scheduled for February the 5th and 6th. And we have 5 internal candidates. Thank you.
Chief?
Chief Moore stepped out to go to a call, so if you were wondering.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. So we have continued this quarter to strengthen our partnership with Parks and Recs because they get a lot of people and we want to meet a lot of people. So on that, we rode their coattails a little bit for the Trunk or Treat event. It was a great event. We got some great aerial footage from our drone, handed out, I don't want to talk about how much candy. We did glow golf with them. That was a great time. The guys enjoyed themselves. We went and did senior bingo. That was a blast. We got to meet, it's all elderly people for the most part, and we also did their Thanksgiving potluck. I actually cooked some stuff, so it was fun. Of course, the busy time for us was December. Of course, we did Cops on the Roof. We did meet our goal again this year, handed out 250 bicycles to Pitt County kids that were identified by Reverend Coles and his outreach team. We don't do the disseminating the bicycles. He does through Toys for Tots. As well, you know, Coffee with a Cop, you always hear me mention that. And then, of course, Shop with a Cop. So we had 5 families this year with 15 kids. We had a great time. One of the families was so, like, overwhelmed. I just never saw anybody that grateful before in my life. And it was so cool to be a part of that. We just launched a new initiative. Dawn put the information out. It's a senior watch program. After talking with the seniors with the Parks and Recs program, we have a lot of seniors here that live in town alone. You know, maybe their kids live in Raleigh or, you know, further away. So I feel like if the police department is willing to check on your house while you're on vacation, why wouldn't we be willing to check on your mom? So the elderly people can sign themselves up, or, and I just say elderly, if you're 50 and you want to get checked on, then sign up. Yeah, so we'll go to the house, we'll establish communication with that person, what they're comfortable with us coming around. I remember when I first got introduced in Winterville 12, 13 years ago, there was an older gentleman, I think his first name was John, he lived on Person Street. He was being celebrated as like the oldest living member of Winterville at the time. And I had a call a week later with him. And I think we sat there for 2 hours talking. And he was telling me about how it used to be dirt roads and all that stuff like that. So I feel like we can establish some relationships with our older community. So, any questions? No? Thank you.
All right, with that, turn it over to our town attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Anthony mentioned today, the closing we had. I appreciate you coming by and signing the documents, Mayor, got that deed recorded. Other than that, I have no other reports subject to your questions and me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me start with Councilwoman Hawkins.
First, I would like to ask that we take a moment in thought and prayer for those that are suffering in Los Angeles, as well as around the entire world, but just keeping them in mind as the fires are still burning. I would like to thank the Fire Chief Moore for meeting with me on January 3rd. As I requested information in terms of emergency preparedness. With these type of situations in mind, Chief Moore sat with me. He made himself available. He talked with me about a lot of intricate things, and it wasn't rushed or anything. He just wanted to ensure that I knew that him, as well as the other firefighters, were readily prepared from anything from a small fire to huge disasters in conjunction with Greenville, as well as other neighboring fire department and emergency services. So I want to just tell him I appreciate that as well. I would like to say that public comment versus public hearing, that's a huge discrepancy in time. With regards to public hearings, there doesn't seem to be any limit when those who are provided information for public hearings, they're going on and on. I know most of the time is developers, but when you compare that to the actual people and citizen of Winterville and they get a mere 3 minutes, we need to really look at that. And I know that's governmental, but I would like for us to head more towards humanity rather than bureaucracy. When somebody's talking about something really important and it's time, but those that are talking about prospective developments and R10s and R15s and monies, there is no time limit. We need to really look at that and maybe try to shift the tone here in Winterville to maybe set the standard for other governments in our vicinity and try to maybe discuss this a little bit more. And then lastly, I would like to share, and this is not a report, but this is something that I will be focusing on this year. Something occurred with a family member of mine on January 1st, which concerned me greatly, and I have been in communication with the town manager moving forward on this. I would like for everyone to know that I am not anti-police, but I am undoubtedly against any anti-policies and procedures that will allow conduct that does not hold officers accountable or have transparency in terms of changes that are needed in terms of consequences, or in terms that are needed in terms of abuse of power. What it does is it staggers the dignity and the integrity of the career field of policing and the police department. I have shared before that I have family members that are in law enforcement, and that my dad and my father served during and fought during World War II as well as Vietnam. I would like for us to really be microscopic and make sure we understand that the police are held to a higher standard than the average citizen, and that they will be held accountable when they do not do their due just. Martin Luther King said the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And I would like for the town council to get on board with me this year, making sure that we are at the top of the hill here in Winterville in terms of policing and traffic stops. Thank you.
Dr. Burrell?
I'd like to start off by saying thank you to the staff. Thank you to everyone for all that you do. I really appreciate you. Thank you to the town council. I have been working in conjunction with a principal project manager over at Blue Cross Blue Shield to bring information to the town, hopefully around March. Terry, I will get with you about those dates to have those presentations. But this is about the social drivers of health. Because if you're hungry, I mean, we've all been hungry. We don't want to talk about anything. We want to, you know, find ways to get full or have food, right? So when we talk about social drivers, it's really not about primary care or medical care. It's about 80% of people don't have housing, people don't have adequate education, food, and so on and so forth. So I would like for us as a town to have more informational sessions and have for people to come in and share how our town, even though we have a high rate of folks that own their homes, we still have a small percentage of people that are homeless in Winterville, believe it or not. So that is a social driver of health, or you all may have heard it as a social determinant of health. Also, you know, how to access that education. Even though we have Pitt community in our backyard, there's still folks that need that help in accessing the education. So those are some of the things that I would like to see more come to our town. Also, I've been speaking with ECU Health, being more proactive than reactive. Maybe having the mammogram bus or van to be parked here in front of our town hall for folks to be able to walk here or ride their bike or however, just to come and get a mammogram beforehand, before Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm just looking to have things such as that come to our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone. And I am looking forward for us to have a much better year than what we had in 2024. We had a great year in doing, from our staff, from all our staff, including the town council. And we want to say that the growth that we have here in our town has grown, and it is began to look more bigger than just a slice of good life. It looked like almost like a whole pie. So I say to us, let's keep right on striving and doing the very best that we can. I think I mentioned that into our meeting on Thursday. That Thursday meeting is very, very good. I usually try to make our Thursday meeting, that's the first Thursday before our regular meeting. And they give me an opportunity, they give me a great opportunity to ask questions, to find out some things if you can. You know, I'm saying if you can. But that's the reason why a lot of times you don't see me say too much, because a lot of my questions already has been answered in that meeting, you know. And so I would stress that if we can, and I appreciate you, the staff that was, you know, take out the time to share that information that I need to know. And again, Happy New Year. And I know that you want that stoplight, but you know, we got somebody, you know, they the one that supervise that. You know what I'm saying? That's just like your home. You know, you in control of your home, but you still invite people in, and they got like according by your guidelines, your rules. So this same thing about the DOT. You know, they got responsibilities that they have to make and decisions that they have to do, and we don't like it. We don't like it, but we got to abide by it, and we got to respect them, because it's a reason why. I might not like it, but it is a reason why. Okay, So I say, hang in there, keep right on doing what you're doing, and I think the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Councilwoman Robinson.
The first thing I want to ask is there somewhere we could include a break after 2 hours? You know, it's a long time to sit here, 3 hours, that we could kind of institute that as part of our protocol.
Y'all are the council. Y'all.
I thought we said all we have to do is ask for the break.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
but-
one
but-
council person requests it, unless you mean like a certain duration.
Well, I'm saying if
Councilwoman
after 2 hours, we take a 5 to 10 minute break, and that way we won't have anyone going out missing something. Okay. Okay, the graveyard, I didn't hear anything about that. I'd like to know our progress on that, and our urgent repair program. Those two things.
If that's
Okay.
all right, I'll loop that back in here in just a second.
And all of you received an invitation to digital inclusion to view the digital inclusion plan for our region. And you may not think it's very important, but if you live in some of these, I know Smith probably runs into that in some of the counties that her school serves. They are not they don't have internet and stuff, and that's what the plan is all about. So you got that and that invitation, and I would encourage any of you that can to come and be there with it. Do thank staff for all they do and everything.
Councilwoman Smith.
So most has already been said for the evening, but I do want to say. Oh, I forgot I turned that off when I had to exit, sorry. I have had in various settings from an array of individuals compliments on our Christmas this year with the new lights, with the ornaments. I know Mr. Mills in your department put a lot into it, but I think everybody does. And with the event that we had, it was very well received. I think it represented our town very well. So from every department, rec, utilities, everybody, that was very nice. I appreciate all that staff does, not just those who sit here with us on these evenings, but those who answer phones and greet me at the window. I have had very positive encounters, and I appreciate everything that everybody does from the top to the bottom. Thank you.
Mr. Don, I forgot the announcements, so could you? Well, I backed up to it.
Yes, sir, Mayor. We're going to slide right down into announcements. Coffee with the Cop is on Friday, January 17th at Cooper's Cup. Next Monday, Martin Luther King Day, which is Monday, January 20th. Town offices will be closed so that the different activities that are around town, everyone can participate. Stormwater Advisory Board is on Tuesday, January 21st at 6 p.m. at the Operations Center. Planning and Zoning Board meeting on Tuesday, January 21st at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. Board of Adjustment meeting is also on Tuesday, January 21st, and it will meet immediately following Planning and Zoning. Human Relations Board will meet on Thursday, January 23rd at 7 in the Executive Conference Room. The Recreation Advisory Board meet on Tuesday, January 28th at 6:30 at the Operations Center. Then on the first vision setting meeting will be on Tuesday, January 28th, 5:30 here in Town Hall. February agenda abstract information is due on Thursday, January 29th. Vision setting meeting part 2 will be on Tuesday, February the 4th at 5:30. And I would say those two meetings, we will have dinner, will be served at those, both those meetings for council. Agenda review meeting will be Thursday, February 6th at 4 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room. And the March 2025 newsletter information is due on Friday, February 7th. We were just speaking this week how it seems like every time it turns around, it's time for, and I know it does seem early, but for us to get the information together and then get it to the printer and out to go with utility bills is the reason that we have to have the information ahead, but it's working out. Your next regular meeting is on Monday, February the 10th at 6 p.m. here in Town Hall. Thank you, Mayor and Town Council.
You have a question? Are you itching?
No, I was looking at the mayor, that I just received a letter today, that I will be, on jury duty on our next town meeting. Okay?
In case I hope they don't sequester you, so you should be here.
I won't know that until then, I just want to.
Yeah, what I'm saying, unless he gets sequestered, right, King?
That's right. I mean, they usually on Monday, in fact, a lot of times, they don't even have you come in on Monday, but so you should be cleared.
Should be clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will be here.
Town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Councilwoman Robertson, Graveyard, the new section, I know that prior to the holiday, staff was working on getting prices from contractors to finish cutting in the roads, and getting things ready for us, the last things that need to be done before we can sell plots, or so we can sell plots. The one thing I will need council, and hopefully we'll have some pricing by vision setting, the one thing I need council to decide is whether or not you all want to go ahead and asphalt those drives or leave them rocked. So that was not anything that we had, my first thought was we would put the rock in and there would be rocked drives for in the beginning, but I have had some folks mention that maybe you want to go ahead and asphalt those drives. So if you'll be thinking about that, we'll loop back around to that in our first vision setting meeting. Also, in terms of urgent repair, Rebuilding Together, they've had another change. I don't think they currently have an executive director. Don and I have been working, we've met with 2 of their board members. They wanted to update the memorandum of agreement we have with them, as that was an old document. So one of the 2 gentlemen is an attorney, so he was working on drafting that document. Donald, I think they reached out to us right before the holiday, so it's for us to get back with them to get together. That should be something that we can get on our schedules right away, and then once that agreement is put in place, we'll be ready to move forward. We've got a few applications, the ones that have been pending, got those ready to submit to them. We will do another check on our behalf in terms of making sure they meet town criteria, but then when it's turned over to Rebuilding Together, you may recall they do all the income verification, et cetera, to make sure that they meet the criteria to move forward with any repairs. Okay. Just let me know. That's it. That's
Okay. To the council, please do not leave before you sign the paperwork for Miss Jessica. She should have it over there for you to sign. And, just wanted to say, looking forward to working with everybody this year, coming into 25. I think, after last year was kind of a year with a lot of excitement, a lot of things going on. I think we started off the year a little bit better because I'm looking at 9 o'clock and it looks mighty good. But if you look at your booklet in front of you, everybody have this booklet. I want you to just lay eyes on it. I just want everybody to lay eyes on this booklet right in front of you. And then you see the word Winterville, right? You see the W and the E in Winterville, and it says we. We together this year, we're gonna win, W-I-N. We're gonna win this year when we work together, this council. And it's gonna start in the vision setting, It's gonna go all the way through. It's up to us. This is a new year. Let's start off on the right foot. With that being said, I ask for a motion to adjourn. Second. Hit your clickers. Don't forget to sign the thing.
We will get a signed copy to everybody via email.
Well, you know, hey, that way. Yeah. Thanks for letting me look. I hadn't seen this yet.
Rush, I gotta get
Yep, hey, no, you go right ahead.
Well, I realized that my other coat was dirty, and I tried to take it off.
How's Mark doing? Hope y'all had a good Christmas.
We did.
Good.
Okay.
Please tell him I said hello.
I will.
Where you going, Will? Huh?
Thank you.